YouTubers, Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone, and yes, that was Robin Hood back in 1955. But today, Robin Hood in archery circles means something very different. What it means is when one arrow perfectly hits the nock and splits the nock of another arrow, and then the arrow goes right down the shaft, so that you have an arrow hitting another arrow right down the shaft, and that's called a Robin Hood. Well, it just so happens that Tricia, who is a fairly new archer, already has 2 Robin Hoods. And for any of you who think that the QuickFletch Twisters are not accurate, we did 4 of her arrows yesterday, and today she shot a Robin Hood with those QuickFletch Twisters. That's the top Robin Hood up there. We'll let Tricia tell you about it.
Okay, well, this was actually, this first one down here, this was my first Robin Hood. This was probably, I think, 3 weeks ago now. And that was pretty exciting for me just because, well, it's, well, the stats say it's a 1 in 3,000 to 1 in 10,000 shot. So it's, you know, it happens, but it's fairly rare-ish. To be fair, I have to say I wasn't trying for this, but I was just trying to shoot on target, and it just happened to hit this one here. Actually, this one's kind of loose. See how actually it blew out the nock here, and then splintered this arrow. So the dilemma with a Robin Hood is that you're actually ruining arrows. So, but this is my first Robin Hood, and that's, you know, something that you want to remember.
So when 2 arrows get ruined, that could be up to like $25 to $50 worth of arrows, right?
Right. These are just beginner's arrows, so these are not that expensive. I think they're 12 bucks each. But, you know, that's why really great archers, when they're shooting, they only shoot 1 arrow per target, and then they'll move on to another target, just so you're not clacking your arrows all the time. As a novice, it's kind of exciting for us to clack the arrows, like, oh, look at me, I'm feeling like I'm staying in a relatively tight grouping. But obviously, you know, if you shoot in a tight group with a cluster of arrows, you might increase your chance of a Robin Hood. So anyway, this is my first one ever, and that was pretty exciting. It was a big deal even at the archery range. Even those who were experienced were like, oh, look at that, your first Robin Hood.
And everybody's excited for you. I was excited also.
Right. But tonight, 3 weeks later, with my first round of shooting for the night, I actually got a Robin Hood again. And this one, you see, is a much better Robin Hood. Literally, this back arrow here went right into this arrow here. You see, this first one here, it might have kind of hit at a slight angle. And it split the nock, but it actually was at a slight of an angle like this. It came out, so I keep, you know, putting it back together just as a little trophy for myself. But that one actually was a little bit bent. This one here, it's jammed in there big time. You can even see here with the QuickFletch, it split down the shaft to about, what is that, 2.5 inches all the way down. So
it's stuck in there real well.
It's stuck in there good. I can't take it out even if I wanted to.
So what do you think about those QuickFletches?
The QuickFletch seems to work. I have to say, you know, I had kind of talked about my previous veins on these arrows. I had kind of torn them up here pretty much. Like you see on this Robin Hood here, this back arrow. See how, like, I tear up my veins a lot. So I had some pretty pathetic looking veins on some of these arrows, and it was kind of getting to be like a joke. It was practically like one vein was totally gone, or the others were all torn up. So I mean, it was equivalent of shooting a stick. So no stability at all. So we shaved those off, and he had gotten these QuickFletches, and it was actually really simple to put them on, and they seemed to work quite well. I was shooting a pretty tight group, and then I was shooting these. Is actually the first time I've shot these since I refletched them, and this arrow went down lane, and when I shot it, I don't know if the nock was loose or something like that, but that nock actually popped off, and the arrow was stuck right into the X-ring, knockless. And then I think 2 arrows later, this arrow went straight down the shaft of this first arrow here, and split it all the way up into the shaft here, past the fletchings here.
That's a permanent trophy.
This is a permanent trophy, and this is actually a much better shot than this first Robin Hood, although it's still I'm pretty proud of him as a novice archer myself.
And you should be. Now, I got a comment question, and some of the people out there they are looking at the videos, and they're wondering, well, these quick fletches, do they hold their position? Or as you use them, do they start to move and this kind of thing? Well, I shot these tonight, and you see that they did not move at all. So I'm feeling pretty confident that these are really on there well. And notice I don't get any damage on my fletches, on my veins. I don't know how you do it. You do shoot tight groups, but
I guess maybe I'm just harder on my arrows.
You sure are. Tell us about the card here.
Oh, this is another trophy. You know, as a novice, I'm just really keeping all the little milestones that I have in my archery days here. But this is from, I think, a video that you posted a couple days ago. And this is you issued the Ultimate Challenge, which is not just splitting a single card, but 2 cards in series. So this is the one that was stuck in the target itself, perpendicular like so. And then there was another freestanding card here in a pinch vise like this, lined up just like this. So the impossible shot was at 12.5 yards, trying to split 2 cards in sequence with a single arrow with a field point. That's pretty darn hard. So I have to say this round that I shot here with this particular trophy, I went past the first card. The shaft actually bent the first card out of the way, and the point struck the edge of the card. You can actually see where the paper is split, the card paper.
Absolutely.
And then split it, and then actually split it to about halfway-ish, 2/3 way through.
And you notice there's also a little damage on the back end where the arrow went through and nipped the back end of it too.
Maybe, or actually I think this was, if you go back to that video from just a couple days
Another
ago,
arrow?
I had 2 arrows side by side. So actually I think that first arrow that I spoke of split the card, and then maybe it tracked off, because you actually can see a groove in here where it probably just tracked off, and then the other arrow hit the card and actually tore it like so. But that's still
it's this part that's really impressive. This first tear right here, this first rip.
and you can actually, if you see closely, you can see where the point, which is quite little if you think and look at it. I mean, look how tiny that point is.
It's very small.
So to split a card, you have to get it exactly dead on, and that's pretty hard. So when you issued the Ultimate Challenge, where you're having 2 cards in sequence, that's going to be a good one.
It's almost insane.
I'm going to be very curious to see if someone can do that. And even tonight, my instructor, who I see every Monday night at the lane that we shoot at, she asked me, well, did you split the card? She saw my second Robin Hood, and she said, come on now, Trish. And then she said, well, did you split the card yet? I said, I did. And I pulled my trophy card out of my archery bag. And she laughed, and she said she too carries her card around as her good luck charm. It's a little talisman for her. So even she recognized that just shooting a single card is a pretty big deal. And I think the Pepsi Challenge has this been issued for the 2 cards in sequence. I'm going to be pretty impressed if someone can do that with a field point. The big joke, of course, with all the instructors at the lane is, well, just use a broadhead. Well, obviously, that's cheating.
Thank you very much, Tricia, and continue good shooting to you. And this is quite impressive, actually. How many weeks have you been shooting?
I think I took up archery because it was something that I wanted to do since I was a little girl, and I have a big birthday coming up next year, and I started to think to myself that I had to get going on my bucket list, and archery was in my top 5. So I have been shooting. My birthday's back in March, so what is it now? August. So it's been maybe just 4 months since I've been shooting.
Okay, well, you know what? You got some Robin Hood in you. YouTubers out there, take care. Interview with Tricia and her archery experiences. Bye for now.
Robin Hood was brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil, the one and only largest selling hair tonic. Sandy Becker speaking.
Archers to a tavern on the green. They vowed to help the people of the king. They handled all the trouble on the English country scene and still found plenty of time to sing. Robin Hood, riding through the glen. Robin Hood, with his band of men. Feared by the bad, loved by the good.